Welcome to Scale Web channel. This is our weekly AI news roundup, and after this episode you will know what's the new image generation model by OpenAI and is it better than NanoBanana or not, who is the person of the year in 2025 by a version of Times Journal, and new AI war, new cold AI war, and what's position here of United States, China and Europe, and some other AI news. So stay tuned and let's dive in.
Blah, 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 blah.
And let's begin with the Person of the Year by Times Journal. So what it means to be Person of the Year. Basically, this is annual editorial pick of person or maybe even group of people or maybe even object or an idea that had the biggest impact in the year. So basically, for the better or for the worse, regardless of that, they just pick something like some substance that had the biggest influence. Because of that, historically, they had some controversial choice. For example, in their list were such bad actors like Adolf Hitler, Joseph Stalin, Vladimir Putin, and some other folks. But again, for better or for worse, they just pick some substance that had the biggest influence in the year. And this year, in 2025, they picked 8 people. And who are those 8 people? Basically, this is the cover of Times Journal for 2025. The Person of the Year, basically AI, artificial intelligence. As you can see, this year they have 2 options for their cover. First one is telling about building artificial intelligence, and all these 8 folks are somewhere here doing some important job. But here on the second option, we can see who are those people. And that's really interesting because they are really like building the future. So first one, Mark Zuckerberg, young CEO of Meta, and also they're building super intelligence lab. Second one, Lisa Su. Shame on me, to be honest, I'm not much familiar with her biography, but I know that she is CEO of Advanced Micro Devices, AMD, which is second biggest producer of video cards, which are like hard for artificial intelligence. Next one, Elon Musk, CEO of Tesla, CEO of SpaceX and XAI. Of course, Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, most expensive company nowadays, $5 trillion of capitalization. The next one, young CEO of OpenAI, Sam Altman. He is like indeed disruptor and AI revolutionary, and if you ask people what you know about artificial intelligence, they will probably name the ChatGPT, the product of OpenAI. And the next person is Demis Hassabis. In my opinion, he is CEO and co-founder for Google DeepMind, and in my opinion, most fundamental company for artificial intelligence. The next one is Dario Amodei, who actually worked in Google Brain. After that, he worked in OpenAI, launching GPT-2 and 3, and nowadays he is CEO of Anthropic, the company behind the Claude model. And the last person is Fei Li. Again, I'm not much familiar with her biography, but she is CEO of Artificial Intelligence Institute in Stanford. So basically, what that means to us, as we discussed, Times picked the most influential substance in the year. And this year, Times basically recognizes that we are not experimenting with AI anymore, we are implementing it. And these guys, they are not talking about future, they are building the future. But I'm sure you understand it, because you're on this channel following AI News. And in order not to miss our next episode of Weekly AI News Roundup, subscribe to this channel, hit that like button, and leave your comment. This is small for you and huge for me. And we move forward. And now let's talk about new image generation model by OpenAI. If you remember our previous episode, we were talking that after announcement of Code Red, OpenAI released their new model 5.2, which is their flagman model and which is leading in many benchmarks. But mostly those benchmarks are about scientific tasks and artificial general intelligence and generalizing information, etc. Whereas in generating images, 5.2 still use previous model and it's pretty struggle comparing to NanoBanana. Here is just to remind you example what I got in ChatGPT versus what I got in Gemini. You'll see the difference, yeah? This Tuesday, December 16, OpenAI announced new image generation model, which is 1.5. And from now on, this model will be default model in OpenAI's ChatGPT product. So whenever you ask to generate the image, the ChatGPT will be using 1.5 model. Though, in case you still prefer or want to use 4.0, you can still do it just in your custom GPT. Configuring, you can choose the previous model 4.0. So basically, what's this model and how it's better? This is 4 times faster and 20% cheaper. And you can send simultaneously few requests, and this model will be simultaneously preparing for you different pictures, which is amazing for lazy people, yeah? And I believe everyone is lazy. I mean, all people are lazy, yeah? or just me. But let's go and let's check together what this model actually can do. And on their official page, we can see some use cases and some comparing. So first, you can see that this model perfectly can combine different pictures into one in different style. Also, you can add some elements on background without changes in other elements, as well as you can change the styles. Actually, this is pretty good one. And also, of course, putting some t-shirts and removing and taking the object into completely different surroundings. So as we can see, this model is much better. There are some other ideas how you can utilize this model, but of course there are also some improvements and limitations, and OpenAI posts those areas for improvement and limitations here so that we can see where this model still struggles, and they promise that they are working on it. So basically, as you can see, there are still issues with generating such images, and we can compare even the new model versus previous model, and it's pretty fine. So, long story short, the new model is indeed better. But is it better than NanoBanana? In my personal opinion, it's a draw situation, because I personally tried to send similar, completely same prompts to both Gemini with their NanoBanana model and ChatGPT with their 1.5 model. And sometimes I prefer output in Gemini, sometimes I prefer output in ChatGPT. So for me, again, this is pretty draw. And what do you think? Do you prefer ChatGPT or do you prefer Gemini for generating images? Let me know in the comment. And another quick news that Google, OpenAI, Microsoft, Anthropic, and Block created AAIF, Agentic Artificial Intelligence Foundation. And basically what is this? This is non-profit foundation with a mission to create open and shareable rules in order to create agentic AI. What that means that we use AI agents, they become part of our life. Some AI agents just reply emails, some AI agents start ordering food in your refrigerators, some AI agents manage calendars, etc. So AI agents are becoming part of our life. But there are some tasks where they need to collaborate, work together, resolve something together, and that's why in order for different AI agents from different companies to be able to communicate, we need to create some shareable rules. Sounds reasonable, yeah? I don't know if it's connected or not, but also in December I found that Google actually published the papers where they run few experiments when they had the same task and they tried to send just one AI agent and compare the result of efficiency with the case when they sent to the completely same task multiple agents, AI agents. Sometimes actually one agent was more efficient than few agents, because when few agents started resolving the task, there were some distortions, etc. It's a very interesting task, you can check it later, but in general the idea that these companies coming together to create shareable rules for AI agents, and I believe this is good for us because our AI agents will be more collaborative. Another note that even though this foundation is non-profit, works under umbrella of Linux Foundation, and Linux Foundation is established, well-known. They manage such open source projects as Linux operation system. The membership in this association is pretty crazy. Yeah, because I thought maybe our company can become member of this foundation, but look at these prices, $350,000 per annual membership. This is crazy, to be honest. This is non-profit association. On our channel, we pretty often talk about American or even Chinese models, but pretty rarely about European AI models. I'm very happy to see some good news from Europe, because in December, the Mistral, French startup, French company that operates in AI space, they released their new model, DevStral, which is mostly for software development. Let's check the benchmark, how this compares to other models with what we have nowadays. I72.2, and this is just a little bit tiny difference from the first place, DeepSeek. Also the third place by Kimi K2, which is also Chinese, by the way. So, but again, this difference is super small. Of course, this is lower than these models, but all of these models, they are proprietary. By the way, there is no Claude Opus, which is currently the leading model in this benchmark. But anyway, you got the idea that those models are very close even to proprietary models. And again, this is open weight model. So open source, open weight, you can just download it to your PC, to your enterprise facilities and operate within this model. I know that there are many companies that are like, oh, we cannot share any information because of security, privacy, etc. So you don't need to, you just upload this model and you work within your ecosystem without sharing any information. So in December we got new open source model, and this is European model, so I'm glad that Europe tries to keep up with this AI race. We are losing the AI race to China. And this is not headlines of yellow journalism or words from politician populists or clickbait tabloid media. Those warnings are coming from Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, the company in the heart of AI revolution. In my opinion, we should carefully listen and think about it. AI is fundamental tech, and we already have no doubt in that. But while we are talking about AI revolution, we pretty often use very simplified model, like comparing different models like ChatGPT to DeepSeek or Gemini, etc. But Jensen Huang, who has this helicopter view, suggests more complex approach that determines the leadership in artificial intelligence. And that approach consists of 5 main criteria. Speaking about this layer, China has double times more production of energy than United States. So basically, in this fundamental level, China wins this race. The next one, microchips. Here, the leader is United States, but again, according to Jensen Huang, this is not like leadership guaranteed in 1 or 2 years. And China is very, very close, and as we know, they invest heavily in their own microchip infrastructure. The next one is infrastructure, all those data centers and maintenance of those data centers and financing all of those data centers. And again, China here has like huge construction and production. They try to put their bet on quantity over quality. The next one is model. Again, for now, United States has leading positions, but in proprietary models, whereas in open source, as we saw from our previous episode, China is leading. DeepSeek model is the best model for software engineering among open-weighted models. And the last, but not the least, applications. The final layer where people meet AI products. And in each of these layers, it's super important to lead in order to be the leader in AI revolution. Each of them is important. Jensen Huang makes a bright example that electricity was invented in United Kingdom, but the true beneficial of it was United States, because United States implemented it in a faster way. That example was to show you the parallel with AI. United States nowadays invents the best AI models, but China implements them in a faster way. And that's the issue that United States should work on in order to be and to keep the leadership in AI race. But there are 3 more shocking facts about this AI race. That first one, that 9 of 10 top schools in science and technology are in China. Just imagine, 90% are in China. 50% of top AI researchers nowadays are Chinese. 70% of all patents in AI space for the last year published by China. Just think about it.
I know you can see the demons all in my.
And even more news coming from China, because in early December, Donald Trump announced that after the ban and putting like a huge tariffs on microchips export to China, he finally decided that he will allow NVIDIA to export their H200 microchips to China. Basically, that was like a friendly step towards collaboration with Xi Jinping. But what's funny, because a few days later, Xi Jinping just made an announcement that they actually don't need it, because they're going to invest $70 billion in their own production of microchips. And actually, this is the biggest government investment in AI infrastructure. And it's just showing that China understands the importance of leading in AI, that AI is fundamental. They are not just play the tactic to keep up or play the second player, but they want strategic leadership in it.
Houston, we have a problem.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of our weekly AI News Roundup. And remember that AI will not replace you, but that's not for sure. But people that use AI will replace you, and that's for sure. So, in order not to miss our next episode and keep up with all the latest AI news, be sure to subscribe to this channel, and I will see you in a week. See you soon, guys.